On a winter day, a man was standing in the middle of someone's front yard. The person stayed there for several weeks without moving, and the owner of the yard didn't mind. Eventually, the man left. Who was the man? It was a snowman, of course. He left a couple of weeks later when the temperature went up. Over winter break, 5 best friends each did different activities in different cities. Can you find out each friend's full name, what they did, and where they went? Their first names are Julie, Megan, David, Fred, and Sam. Their last names are Wallace, Thompson, Mallard, Shields, and Drake. Their preferred activities are a ski trip, moving to another place, a cruise, cooking classes, and visiting relatives. The places where they went are Houston, Paris, Cleveland, Vancouver, and Miami. And now, there's a bit more info you might need. 1. Julie and Miss Wallace were sad that David wasn't coming back. 2. Neither Sam nor Julie had ever left the US before this winter break. 3. All the first names that have 2 syllables belong with the last names that have 2 syllables. Nobody's last name starts with the same letter as their first name. 4. Miss Mallard is excited to learn about French cuisine. 5. Mr. Thompson doesn't want to move. 6. The friends, in no particular order, are as follows. The girl who is going on a ski trip, Mr. Shields, Megan, the boy headed to Houston, and Julie. 7. Cruises can only be taken in warm coastal cities. Ski trips can only be taken in cold, mountainous places. Remember that this winter. 8. The cruise ship Fred is traveling on does not dock in Houston. Also, keep in mind that Sam can be a boy's or girl's name. In this case, it's short for Samantha. Julie Mallard takes cooking classes and she went to Paris. Megan Wallace moved to Cleveland. David Thompson visited his relatives in Houston. Fred Shields went on a cruise in Miami. Sam Drake took a ski trip in Vancouver. It's 1962, and you're traveling to Innsbruck, Austria, to see the Winter Olympics. When you arrive at the stadium, nobody is there. You ask a passerby, "Why isn't anyone here for the Winter Olympics?" The man answers your question. You both laugh at your silly mistake, and you go back home. What did the passerby tell you? He told you that the Winter Olympics wouldn't start until 1964. There are a few airplanes on the island. The tank of each airplane contains just enough fuel to fly halfway around the world. Any amount of fuel can be transferred from one plane to another while in the air. The only source of fuel is on the island. It's assumed that all the planes burn fuel at the same rate and fly at the same speed. What is the smallest number of airplanes needed to ensure that one plane flies all the way around the world? All the planes should return safely to the island. Only 3 planes are needed. Planes A, B, and C leave the island together. After flying 1/8 of the distance, Plane C transfers 1/4 of the contents of its tank to Plane A, and 1/4 to Plane B. This leaves C with 1/4 of its fuel, which is just enough to get back to the island. Planes A and B continue for another 1/8 of the way. Plane B then transfers 1/4 of the contents of its tank to Plane A. Plane B now has half a tank of fuel left, which is enough to go back to the island. Plane A now has a full tank and continues to fly until it runs out of fuel, which occurs when it's 1/4 of the way to the island. It is met by Plane C, which has already been refueled. Plane C transfers 1/4 of its tank to Plane A, and they both head home. Planes A and C run out of fuel when 1/8 of the way to the island is left. Luckily, they're met by Plane B, which has been refueled too. Plane B transfers 1/4 of its tank to each of the 2 planes, and the 3 aircraft now have enough fuel to get home. 2 50-foot ropes are suspended from a 40-foot ceiling 20 feet apart. You have only a knife. How much of the rope can you steal? Almost all of it. First, tie the ropes together at the ends. Then, climb one of the ropes. Make a loop as close to the ceiling as possible. While hanging from the loop, cut the rope just below it. But don't drop it, otherwise you'll be stuck up there. Run the rope through the loop and tie it to your waist. Swing over to the other rope and pull the rope that's going through the loop tight. Cut the other rope as close to the ceiling as possible, holding tight to the end of it. Once the rope is loose, you will swing down below the loop. Let yourself down to the ground by letting the rope out. At the bottom, untie yourself and pull the rope completely through the loop. At this point, you'll have all the rope except what was used to tie the loop. You find yourself trapped in a medieval castle far away from civilization. It's freezing outside. You can't jump out the window because it's too high above the ground, and even snowdrifts won't make the jump softer. The only tree growing near the window doesn't look sturdy enough for you to climb down. However, there are 3 doors, one of which can lead you to freedom. But behind the first door, there's a fierce fire. The second door holds back hundreds of venomous snakes. And behind the third door, there's a pitch-dark maze, and you can only imagine what surprises are waiting for you there. Which door should you choose? The third one. You'll just need to break off a tree branch, turn it into a torch by lighting it in the first room, and go through the maze, which wouldn't be dark anymore. When Mary came to work after a winter break, she realized that the office had been robbed.
Oh, no.
The night guard said he had been patrolling the building when he'd heard suspicious noises. When he got there, he saw that the office door was wide open, and so was the safe. The man also added that he had looked out of the window and noticed someone get in a car. But the sun blinded him, and he didn't manage to see who it was. Mary instantly called the police. Why? There's no sun at night, so it couldn't have blinded the night guard. He must have invented the whole story to help the criminals. Or is he the thief himself? Tina and Timothy loved adventures. Once, they decided to check out an ancient castle in Greenland that was said to belong to a witch. That witch used snow to perform her magic and could turn into any object and copy anyone's appearance. In the castle, they used torches to light their way.
Oh, no.
All of a sudden, their torches went out. Tina got terribly scared, but then the torches lit again, and she saw 2 husbands of hers in front of her. Can you tell who is her real husband? It's the man on the right. He has 5 fingers, like a regular human. The man on the left has 4 fingers, so it must be the witch. An anonymous person called the police and told them that a notorious criminal had come back to the town. The next day, they called the police once again to report the screams they had heard. They had been coming from an abandoned house. The police rushed there. They broke in and saw 3 tied-up men. They figured out that one of them must have been the criminal. One of the officers said that he knew exactly who the criminal was. Can you spot them? Look at the man on the left. Can you see a phone in his pocket? A true criminal would never let their victim use a phone. Take him, officer!
Now, Bella and Ella are preparing for an epic party. Can you figure out who's not very smart? Even though Bella looks as if she's about to touch a hot iron, the device is actually unplugged, so she probably won't burn herself. Meanwhile, Ella is about to touch a heated waffle. Bella and Ella text their friend named Mike, who never answers any questions directly. They invite him to go to a party together. Mike's answer is kinda weird. Sorry, no money, job and job. Now, can you help the ladies crack Mike's message? Mike said he had no money because he was in between jobs. Bella and Ella arrive at the nightclub and see a huge line at the entrance. The local guard, Greg, checks people's ID cards. His task is not to let in suspicious people and folks under 21 years old. Here's the first guest's ID card. What do you think? Can you help Greg decide if he can let this visitor in? She seems fine. Let her in.
Yes!
Here's the next guest. What do you say? June 31, doesn't exist. There are only 30 days in June, so no entry, buddy.
Oh no!
Now what about this guy? Something's wrong with his birth date as well. There was no February 29 in 1977. That wasn't a leap year. And what about this lady's ID? Yep, she's good to go.
Okay.
Here's another candidate. What do you say? Well, he's 22, so he seems fine. Finally, Bella and Ella enter the club building, but they take a wrong turn and get lost. Finally, they enter an old-fashioned two-story hallway with a beautiful fountain in the middle of the room. That's when Bella and Ella realize that they are not alone. There are many ghosts here. Can you figure out the exact number? There are 7 ghosts in this space. One of the ghosts is hiding inside the fountain. And the lady over there is not a ghost. She's standing on her feet and she's sweating. So she's very much alive. The lady is the owner of the property. She says, to get out of this place, you have to crack the following puzzle. Can you help Bella and Ella figure out what number is hiding under the question mark? It's 1. 5 equals 1 because 1 equals 5. That was mentioned earlier in the equation. Bella and Ella are very hungry. Finally, they get to the party and see 2 tables with snacks. Although they look identical, there are 5 differences between them. Can you spot those details? Feel free to pause the video if you need more time. Here they are. Bella and Ella take a couple of selfies at the party. Can you spot 3 differences between these pictures? Ah, 1, 2, and 3. Bella goes to the dance floor, and Ella stays on the sofa. After a while, Bella returns and finds no Ella, only a creepy note on the sofa. We have imprisoned your friend in the middle of this labyrinth. Go save her before it's too late. Bella approaches the labyrinth entrance. She's worried that once she walks in, she won't be able to find her way out.
Oh my god.
How can she escape the labyrinth without getting lost and wasting too much time? She should put her right hand on the right wall and go forward, touching it at all times. She'll be walking into traps along the way. But if Bella follows the right wall, she'll get out of traps and will eventually find her way out of the labyrinth. Let's take a look at this labyrinth from above. Can you help Bella find the correct path? Here's the only route leading to the final destination. Bella manages to find Ella in the center of the maze. Suddenly, a secret door opens, and a creepy voice announces, "You can use this elevator to leave, but first, you have to enter a 4-number passcode to turn it on." Can you help the ladies crack the code? Take a look at the 4 symbols on the elevator. It's a hint. Each image implies a number. The word crown consists of 5 words, so it implies 5. Necklace implies 8, ring 4, and diamond 7. And the code is 5847.
Oh.
Bella and Ella want to return to the party, but they face a guard who says, "You'll have to crack my riddle if you want to come in." What is that thing that you have to break before you can use it? The ladies crack this mystery right away. What about you? The correct answer is an A.
Yes!
Bella and Ella are walking down the corridor. They face a locked door. There are 5 buttons on the door, but only one of them will let Bella and Ella pass. If they choose the wrong one, the door will get blocked forever. Can you help them choose the correct button? There's something special about almost all these buttons. The first one is unlike the others because it doesn't have an outline. The second one has a different shape. The third one has a different color. And the last one is smaller than all the others. The fourth button doesn't have any distinctions. That's what makes it so special. So Bella and Ella should press this one. Yay! The party goes on. 3 guys approach Ella and invite her to the dance floor. But only one of them is safe to dance with. Can you decide who? The first guy has too many spikes on his clothes. He might accidentally scratch Ella. And the second guy is a sorcerer. He has a love potion in his pocket, so he can't be trusted either. Therefore, Ella should pick the third guy. Bella takes a picture of Ella on the dance floor. She freaks out right away.
Oh my god.
Why? There's a skeleton among the dancing people. Ella gets very thirsty after dancing and approaches a waiter. He offers her an infinite supply of free drinks if she can crack his riddle. "I'll give you 1 glass of milk and 1 glass of water. You'll need to pour the 2 liquids into a bowl, but you should be able to separate the milk from the water later. You can't use any kind of dividers." It took Ella a while, but she cracked this riddle. What did she do? She poured all the water into a bowl and froze it. After that, she added the milk.
Oh.
Finally, Bella and Ella leave the party and enter a supermarket to grab some snacks. They see 2 ladies. One of them is married to their friend Mike. Can you guess who? It's the lady on the left. Her shopping cart contains shampoo for men's hair and beard. Bella, Ella, and their common friends, Nick, Nancy, and Adam, are hanging out at Mike's place. The next morning, they find Mike unconscious in the living room. None of the 5 friends know what happened to him. The police show up and they find a note next to Mike's calendar. It reads 4, 12, 8, and 3. The detective already knows who attacked Mike. What about you? It was Adam. The note was next to a calendar. 4 implies April, 12 implies December, 8 August, and 3 March. Take the first 3 letters of each month, and you get the name Adam. The next day, Bella and Ella go skydiving. Oh no, Bella's parachute hasn't opened, and she's now plunging toward the ground. There are 2 places where she can land. Bella can either fall into the lake or into this large haystack. Can you help her choose the best option? Bella should try to fall on the hay. Can you see those creepy crocodiles hiding near the lake? Bella manages to land safely. She meets Ella and they go camping. Unfortunately, Ella gets bitten by a snake, and Bella is trying to suck the venom out of her leg. Mike is also on the trip. Suddenly, he spots a black widow spider on his arm. Who's in a bigger danger, Bella or Mike? Bella. If she has any scratches in her mouth, the venom will get inside her bloodstream. As for Mike, black widows rarely bite people, and the bites are rarely fatal. Uh-oh. 3 friends, Kyle, Harry, and Sherry, are locked in separate cages on a deserted island in the middle of a lake. Kyle's cage has a huge ice block on top of it. There's a tank with boiled water on top of Harry's cage. Only Sherry's cage hatch is locked, and the metal padlock is pretty heavy. The key is inside Kyle's cage. Can you find a way for the 3 friends to escape? It's daytime and the weather is hot. Therefore, the ice over Kyle's cage will soon melt. He'll be able to grab the key and escape through the hatch on top of his cage. As for the boiled water, it will eventually cool down. After that, Harry will be able to escape through the hatch on top of his cage, joining Kyle. Then the 2 guys can unlock Cherry's cage. The guys are now released from their cages. They begin to look for a way to escape and come up with 3 options. They can try to drive this old car, walk to the nearest village and ask for help, or use this rowboat, which floats not far from the shore. Can you help them choose the best option? It's a deserted island in the middle of a lake, remember? The first 2 options simply make no sense. The guys use the boat and manage to reach the mainland by midnight. Luckily, they find an abandoned cabin to spend the night, but it only has 1 match. There's an oil lamp, a fireplace, and a furnace in this cabin. What should they light first? Yeah, it's the match. Woo! The next morning, Kyle wakes up early. Harry and Sherry are still sleeping. He decides to go investigate the area. Soon Kyle finds a brand new airplane. He immediately gets behind the wheel to pick up his friends and fly away from this cursed forest. But suddenly, the owner of the vehicle shows up. He pushes Kyle out of the airplane without a parachute. There's only hard ground below him, but Kyle manages to survive. How? The airplane is still on the ground. Sherry wakes up second and decides to go pick some berries for breakfast. Finds 3 bushes with different types of berries, but only one of them is safe. Can you guess which one? Let's take a look at the first bush. Although raspberries are edible, a scorpion is hiding inside the bush, so Sherry should stay away from it. The second bush has a bunch of pretty berries, but there are no animal traces around the bush, so it's probably poisonous. As for the third option, it's a simple gooseberry bush. It has some animal traces around it. It seems quite reliable. Meanwhile, Harry wakes up in the cabin. He realizes that the room is on fire and he's trapped. The smoke prevents him from seeing the windows, and the door is blocked by the fire too. The firefighters are on their way, but he needs to think quickly to survive while he's waiting for help. Harry comes up with 4 options: to stay on the ground and stay as low as possible, to get on a chair and stay close to the ceiling, to take his clothes off to stay cooler, or to hide under the desk. Can you help him figure out the best solution? Harry should stay low to the ground. That way, he'll be better protected from fumes and smoke. The locals save Harry and Sherry from the fire and imprison them in their village. But soon, they get bored and decide to offer the prisoners a chance to escape. Harry and Sherry are put on opposite sides of one room. Both friends are facing a wall. The task is to write down a number between 10,000 and 1 million on a piece of paper without knowing what the other person wrote. If the two numbers end up being different, Harry and Sherry will be captured forever. But if they write the same number, the locals will set them free. Unfortunately, their ears are plugged with headphones playing loud music, so they can only communicate using sign language. Also, their feet are chained to the ground, so they cannot turn around. But yet, they manage to pick the same number. Ow! There were windows on the walls, so Harry and Sherry could see each other in the reflection of the glass. They could easily communicate using sign language. Meanwhile, Kyle is traveling through the jungle on his own to find his friends. Kyle takes a look inside his filtered water bottle. Ooh, bad news. He's almost out of water. He wanders around and finds 4 sources of water: a juicy cactus, a pond with salty salt water, a clear still lake, and a silt stream. What source of water should Kyle choose? Most cactuses are toxic, so instead of fighting his thirst, Kyle will get a stomachache. Salty salt water will dehydrate him. Stagnant water from the still lake is probably infested with all kinds of bacteria. So the best choice would be the silty stream. It contains nothing that Kyle's filter water bottle can neutralize. Kyle keeps on walking. Suddenly, he spots a crocodile and freaks out. Can you see it too? The croc is over here. Kyle is trying to escape, but the jungle is full of other wild animals. He only has 2 options: to sail on a motorboat across the lake when he saw the crocodile, or to sail on a regular boat across the Shark River. Can you help him pick the best option? Kyle should choose the second option. Sharks don't inhabit waters, so it's just a cool name. Meanwhile, Harry and Sherry are walking through the mountains. They find a cave and decide to explore it. Suddenly, the ground begins to tremble and falling stones block the way out. The guys wander around and find 3 tunnels leading outside. A hungry mountain lion is waiting in the first tunnel. He hasn't eaten in 2 years. The second tunnel is infested with unknown flesh-eating insects. They love to feast on all types of mammals, including humans. And the third passage is guarded by a dangerous runaway criminal. He's ready to get rid of any witnesses, just to avoid going to prison again. Which way is more or less safe? Harry and Sherry should choose the first passage. Mountain lions cannot live for 2 years without food. Harry and Sherry keep on walking. They argue about human body capabilities. They make a deal. Harry would go to Antarctica, and Sherry would travel to the Sahara Desert. They'll both try to survive in those locations for 3 days without any shelter or clothes, but with plenty of food and water. Who has the best chance of surviving? In Antarctica, the temperatures are freezing all the time, and without any cover, Harry would turn into a snowman in less than a day. In the Sahara, on the other hand, the heat is intense only during the day. It's rather cool there during the night, and a water supply will help Sherry fight dehydration. Harry and Sherry reach the top of a mountain. Suddenly, they spot Kyle in the woods. Unfortunately, the mountain road is very confusing. There are 3 possible routes the guys can take to reach Kyle. Can you help them choose the best option? Only the 3rd route actually leads to Kyle. Finally, Kyle, Harry, and Sherry reunite. The guys approach the harbor, hoping to find a vessel to go home. Luckily, they meet a family of 3. Each of them is ready to give the guys a ride on their own boat. Timothy says, "My boat is the best. I bought it 6 months ago and named it after my wife." His son Thomas says, "My boat is 10 years old and has never let me down." And Monica, Timothy's wife, says, "My boat is used, but I know the route better than anyone. Trust me." And only one of them is telling the truth. Can you guess who? Take a closer look at Timothy's boat. Its name is Michelle, not Monica, which means his story is a lie. Thomas lied about the age of his boat. The engraving says 1980. So the guy should say yes to Monica. Here's Hudson. He's a college teacher. It's the last day of the semester, so he has a bunch of paperwork in his office. Suddenly, someone turns off the electricity in the entire building. Hudson goes to the basement with generators. There he sees a turned-off switch and 3 people standing next to it. They all say they didn't touch anything, but one of them is lying. The janitor says, "The lights went out when I came here to clean up." Rebecca says, "I'm a new student. I got lost in the corridors and accidentally got here." And Nick says, "I'm a last-year graduate. I came here to find a toy owl, a souvenir I had hidden here many years ago." Who's lying? The janitor has a bucket and a mop, so he's not lying. There's a toy owl in the corner of the room, so Nick is telling the truth. Rebecca is lying. It's the end of the semester, so she can't be new at this time. One of Hudson's students, Paul, has a crush on another student named Liza. Once he got a note from her saying she liked him. So Paul decides to write her back and ask her out. Unfortunately, he doesn't remember which desk is Liza's. There are 2 possibilities. Can you guess which desk is the one he needs? If you remember, the note was written in green ink. There's a similar green pen lying on the desk on the right. So this is most likely Liza's desk. After classes, Hudson is leaving the building and faces a group of his students. They ask him to take their picture. Can you spot an odd detail in the resulting shot? This guy here has 3 hands. Liza and Paul are having fun outside during their winter break. Liza is learning how to skate on the lake, and Paul is skiing in the forest. Who's not smart? Liza. The ice on the lake is cracking, and there's no one around to help her. Unlucky Liza. Paul, meanwhile, returns to the dorm. He's starving, so he opens the fridge that he shares with his roommate Nick. Right away, Paul begins to yell at his roommate. "Nick, you stole my food again!" Nick replies, "You're a liar. I didn't." Paul says, "Well, I have proof. I took a picture of our fridge before leaving." Can you tell who's lying by just looking at these 2 images? Take a closer look. The shelves are signed. These 2 shelves are Nick's, and the other 2 Paul's. These 3 items disappeared from Paul's shelves. This means that the liar is Nick, and it's time for a new roommate. Meanwhile, Liza and Paul are having a date tonight. Apparently, the lady on the lake survived the cracking ice. But Liza's dorm is situated on the opposite side of this maze. Can you help Paul pass through this labyrinth to meet his date? Here is the only way out. The college dean, Nina, hires a handyman to transform the area around the campus. That's what she says. Your task is to put 7 benches. I will triple your paycheck if you find a way to put exactly 6 rows of benches in a straight line. Also, each row should have 3 benches in particular. Can you help the handyman accomplish this task? He should put 3 benches as the vertices of an equal triangle. 3 more benches should be put at the center of each side of triangle. And the last bench should be at the center. The handyman gets to work and goes to the storage room to grab some tools. Can you find 2 identical items? Hey, here they are. The handyman is bored, so he starts a quiz game. He keeps asking the same question to every student he meets, but each time the answer is different. Can you guess the question? The handyman's question is, "How are you doing?" Hudson's teenage daughter, Jill, failed a test. So he makes her stay at home and study instead of going to a friend's birthday party. Meanwhile, Nina's teenage daughter, Jules, got sick. So she spends the entire day in her bedroom instead of going to the movies. Both daughters come down to dinner at 7 o'clock. Which parent was deceived? Nina. Take a look at the window. It's raining heavily. Jules has wet hair and dirty water on the edges of her jeans. It means she was outside. Uh-oh, liar. The next morning, Hudson and Nina both wake up earlier to prepare breakfast for their families. Nina is making sandwiches. Meanwhile, Hudson is making eggs with bacon. Who's wrong? Hudson. Oops, he forgot to turn on the stove. Hudson is walking to work through his favorite park and sees this scene. Can you spot what's wrong in this picture? There are 2 suns in the sky. Uh-oh, Tatooine. Hudson arrives at his class and starts with a witty riddle. Can you tell me which part of London exists in France as well? The correct answer is the letter N. A huge drama is taking place in a diner next to the college campus. The owner of this place screams, "Where's my money? It's 30 minutes till the end of the working day." But there's no money in the cash register. 3 employees have been working today, but they swear that they haven't touched the money. They say there have been no customers today. The boss doesn't believe them. He studies the employees, trying to spot the thief. Liza is wearing a pair of stylish sunglasses and brandy clothes. Mike is also wearing some costly designer clothes and an expensive phone. Robin is wearing a regular dress and fake jewelry. Who took the money? Nobody. Take a look at the sign on the door. It says "Open." That means that people on the street saw the closed sign on the other side. That's why nobody entered and the cash register remained empty. Hudson finds a secret hallway in the basement of the college building. He decides to explore it and finds an old treasure chest. But as soon as he touches it, 3 zombie pirates come out and grab him. One of them says, "Hey, we've been protecting this gold for 500 years. You can't take it." Hudson notices that something's wrong with these guys. Can you figure out what exactly? Well, they seem fake. This zombie is wearing sneakers. The second one has a phone in his pocket. And the third zombie has a price tag attached to his saber. Ah, busted! Molly is very nervous. She met a great guy online, and today they're having their first offline date. They have never seen the pictures of each other. Their date will take place in an old part of the campus at night. Molly arrives at the meeting point and sees 2 guys. The first one says, "It's a weird place for a date, but I'm glad to see you." And the second guy says, "It's me. I couldn't wait to see you. You're even more pretty than your photos." One of them is Molly's date, while the other one, a dangerous criminal. Can you guess who is who? It's the second guy who is dangerous. He mentioned photos, but Molly didn't send her online crush any pictures of herself. Therefore, the first guy is her date. Molly and her date want to go to a local nightclub, but the guard can't let them in without a password. He gives the guys a hint. "The more places I go, the less you can see. Who am I?" Darkness is the password. It's a beautiful weekend day. Nina is working in her garden. Suddenly, someone attacks her from behind and she faints. Later that day, she gets better and talks to the police. Nina suspects one of her neighbors. Some of them don't really like her. Officers question 3 suspects. Bill says, "I've been planting trees with my daughter all day long." Sabrina says, "I was just peacefully watering my gorgeous flowers and continue to do so." Luke says, "I rarely leave my house, so I don't even know this woman." Who's suspicious? Sabrina's garden hose isn't even connected to the water source. It's just lying on the ground. Therefore, her story is fake.